Well, good day, everybody. So, a few things have gone wrong already, but we're back. I forgot to change the heading. We're supposed to edit the destination, which is, and then put in the heading on this post. So, you'll see the post is 2 days old and it looks the same as the others. But when I've finished here, I can change that. So, this is actually new. I am actually in China and took 2 days to get here, but there you go. I'm here, and boy, Swiss Air is pretty cool. They only made one little stuff up, but everything else went smooth as, and the food was good. And I got 4 seats, so I was able to sleep. But it was my daytime, so it was hard to sleep. So anyway, we're in China, and we were the first. We must have been within the first one or two planes to land after they opened the airport. Opened at midnight, and we landed at 2 o'clock. And there was no one in the airport. I've been through Hong Kong airport, must be hundreds of times since 1984, and I've never seen it empty. But it was empty, and anyway. So everything started working again, and I got across in here, and there we go. We're back on track. So now I can give you an update, even though you think it's just a repeat of what it was before. So as I say, I'll change the heading after, and I'll talk about those entry. I'll talk about them now while we're waiting for some people to turn up. Why is John's picture there? Because there's a few boats coming up for sale. Okay, and John spoke to him a couple of days ago. He's going to list his boat for sale as soon as he gets back to Australia. So one of those is for sale. I don't know whether both will be for sale, but nice boat. In Australia, you've probably seen Dan's boat for sale. Anyway, the MGR Safari details are coming, so don't despair. We've got a few people lining up for that, which will be fun. Anyway, we'll have itineraries and budgets. I've got some messages from Cam. But I haven't even opened them because they arrived when I was just about to get on the plane as voice messages. But I'll be onto that. So stand by for the amazing, magnificent MGR Safari in Cape Town. Voyage of Madman, amazing. If you haven't seen it, it had like about 170,000 views in the first few weeks. 170,000 views. It's free on YouTube. You'll enjoy it. And if you want to sail around the world, I grabbed these pictures really quick because I had like 30 seconds to grab some pics. Want to sail around the world? Come sail around the world on Explorer in the OGR. A lot of things happening. We're a bit late on the official launch of the race, but anyway, Explorer's in refit. Going to be good. There's about 9 boats we've got at the moment. Going to be an amazing adventure. And PLBs and PABs. I'm going to explain that at the end because we had another false alarm on a boat. And this picture here shows you 2 items. The first one at the bottom there where it says warning aerial, that's a picture that I used last time. That's a PLB, the little square one. The one in the back behind it is a PAB, and people still get confused as to what they are. Okay, and that happened on board one of the boats. And anyway, everything went well. They realised it was a false alarm. Rescue Coordination Centres and Coast Guard in UK were right, and also Australia, and blah, blah, blah. But still, it's always good to, I hope you know what a PAB and a PLB is, because I'll explain it later when we get to the finish. All right, so let's say hello. We're here. Oh, I forgot, I just dropped my shirt on. Boom, boom. And we'll go straight to the tracker. I haven't even looked at it. I had a quick grab while I was just setting it up, and everyone's underway, which is fantastic. So you're on the tracker, and wrong one. Hang on a sec. Wrong one. Here we go. You're on the tracker now. I'm on the tracker as well. So I'll make that a bit bigger. And Josh looks like he got away. I've got messages from all the troops here. 2 days worth of messages, which I'll read at the end. So there we go. It looks like an MGR fleet, 11 boats, all heading to Cape Town and so on. And I need to just update my review on what their routing process should be approaching Durban, because Graham Cox pointed out a very important issue, which I took for granted. So I'll explain that a bit more at the end of this as well. Just a quick one, so you know what's going on. Anyway, there's the fleet, and you can see if I decrease this, here's Port Mathurin is Rodriguez. That's where they're headed, and then it's a short 300-mile zip across here to Port Louis in Mauritius, and that's the big stopover. 6 days in Port Mathurin, and 9 days at the moment in Port Louis, but we may modify that as well. So, okay, come back up here, and we've got Josh taking up the rear at 5.1 knots, an 85-mile day. he hadn't been out for 24 hours, so it doesn't matter. Ayrton got underway, happy as 4.7 knots, and he's managed a 122 mile day, pretty easily getting the magic 100, and 120 is the usual average these days. Jasmine, 130 mile day and 5.8 knots, so doing okay. Everyone down here is disappointed to leave Cocos, even though they had a challenge getting in and a challenge getting out, maybe, but a great place. Eric, 5.5 knots, doing a 130 mile day. Eric had his son there on the island and family members, I believe. Anyway, so he had a good stay in Cocos, which is cool. Christian, 5.5. I'll make it a bit bigger here. If you're on the phone, it gets a bit hard. Christian, 5.5 and 124 mile day. All making good. Jacob's dipping south. Not sure why. I'll have a look at the weather lately. Maybe he knows something that the others don't, or he's following Kerry. Who knows? 5.3, 117 mile day. They're not making as good as some of the others. Adam, 5.1, 123 mile day. And I hope you're going to put your money up. I think it's £5 or £10, I forget now, to work out how much rope he's got on board his boat. That's a variable. When I did a quick thing just for the fun of it, I realised that does that include spares? Because if there's spares, it's a wild card. But I didn't read the whole thing totally because I was in the plane when I was doing that. But anyway, a good little effort. And Peeler, 6.5 knots, managed a 153 mile day. Okay, so something's happened there. That's pretty impressive. And even at the moment, doing 6.5, that's pretty impressive. And just visually, she looks as if she's a bit closer to the leaders. So that's interesting. Oh, no, they're all. Well, Kerry's on 5.7, but he managed 144 as well. So hooting along, there's a bit of breeze there. You can see that in the yellow. Dan, 6 knots, 135. And Renault, 145. So the pressure's on. Maybe it looks like the breeze is up the top. The sea will be up, so something's making them go fast. They're racing, obviously, but Renault's pushing it out there, 145, and Peeler, 153. That's the biggest 24-hour average in a long time. So to satisfy my own curiosity, let's look at currents. I think there might be... No, it's just average, but it's solid. And it may be that you're getting... you've got to remember that these graphics on some aspects of the course are assumed. You know what I mean? They may not be totally correct. It can be more or less. Very hard to get it exactly right. But this sort of speed here is worth, well, if we bring it down so you all know how the scale works again. The scale is on the bottom. So here it is here. Let's just look at the leaders. I'll pull it right across so you can see the colour there. If you look at the bottom of the screen, that's probably... on that line there, this colour is about 1 knot. So if it is truly, between, that brown where Peeler is between sort of half a knot and 1 knot probably. At the moment, Renault's probably sitting on close to 1 knot current. So if it is 1 knot, you're going to get 24 miles in every 24 hours. So maybe that's adding a bit, but they do have a bit more breeze. You can see they had more breeze up there than the others. What's their sun looking like? A bit of cloud, a bit of sun, a bit of a mixed bag, which is what they're reporting. When you look at Dan's post, Dan puts a lot of posts up, and we're seeing clouds and squalls and things like that. Temperature will be getting cooler now, but still warm at the moment, still 28 and so on. So waves, what have we got for waves? Let's just have a look here. Hang on, I've got to scroll that down a bit now to get out of there. Okay, here come the waves. Not as big as it was before, but it's still pretty interesting because we'll look at the. We're going to talk weather, so I'm going to open it up a minute and see where this systems are coming from. Looks like it's dying down a bit. That's it there. So you can see there's a band of bigger seas. It's 3 meters. There's different directions over here as it's getting close to Rodriguez. That will be interesting. And see if the systems are showing. Okay. So there's a big high pressure system below them, which is creating the trade. So they're really lucky. They've got good solid trade. You can see there's the high pressure system running around the central area of no wind just here, so it's going around in a counterclockwise direction. All right, so that's a high, and that's the main influence all the way through. So looks like they're going to get it. While we're here on this big scale, I'll just push it through and see what it does look like. A few days going forward. We'll do the short one in a minute. Yeah, it's stationary. It's just forming different shape. So that's going to probably hold through for the week. Yep, trades all the way through, and getting a bit softer by Rodriguez. That's through to the first. There's the second. There's the third. So basically, for the next week or more, it's all dominated by that high pressure system that's not really mobile. It's stationary. It's just changing shape. So that's fantastic. They're going to get a good ride. And then you can see once they get past Rodriguez here on this situation, that's when you're getting into weather and all those things we talked about. But even now, looking over there in Cape Town, that looks like a nice system there. That's perfect because you see here, and you'll get more of this. The stuff I've been talking about previously showed, a lot of rubbish underneath Cape Town. Well, as it gets closer to summer, this is more predictable, and you can see there that's a perfect scenario where you've got a high pressure system sitting below the Cape, and at the top of it is these what do we got? Northeasterlies or easterlies, just to get you around. So let's just pull it back a bit again while we're talking. Well, I can't get it. Come on. I can't pick it up here. I've got to click and drag. Just come back. Yep, that's perfect. See this high here? That's a few days later, so that's a good one to get on to go. But there's the southwester. So from the 28th, you can see that you might not be able to see that again. You've got a situation there where, boy, it's bouncing all over the place at the moment. This is trying to be that's a dead spot between the systems. This is the high up here, right? And then this is coming up from it. There's a huge high there. Look at that. Huge South Atlantic high. So that's coming off the leading edge of that, pushing up headwinds up through the Agulhas current there, which is coming down the bottom, and it changes right at that point. Now, what I was saying, seeing we're already here, we've come to this spot. When they come from Mauritius, you don't want to cut the corner like the run line here because you get into all sorts of strife from there. You really should come down and get to about approaching it from the east, but that's like voyage planning. As you get to Durban, you must remember about the Agulhas current. So you don't want to approach the Agulhas current from the southeast because then you've got a head current and you might have headwinds. But anytime you can get south, get down there, come from the east, and then when you're getting closer, you need to just dip up a little bit, ready to come down the last like a big figure of S as you do your final approach into Durban. So the voyage planning keeps you away from the land here and also gets you down ready for a big southerly coming up here. It makes it easy to run across. So generally that's what you do. But remember, the last 150 miles or so, you've got to position so that you're coming down with the current just at the last minute. Anyway, I digress, but I wanted to get to that point anyway. Come back to real-time weather. We'll pick that up a little bit, get to the fleet, and we'll look at the wind for the next 2 days. But we saw then already from that looking forward a week that it's basically trade winds. It's just how hard it's going to blow southeasterly all the way through. So there goes the first day. Good solid trade winds, plenty there. 25 to gusting 30 maybe 20. Good 20, but generally they've all got it. They've all got the breeze. So they're going to be making up that 120, 130 mile days. But no idea why Pila got that 153. So maybe we'll hear about it when she gives us a daily report. Remembering, of course, that lead 4 are actually 2 days ahead of all the rest of the fleet here at the back. The back fleet is now in sequence, time at sea from Fiji effectively, but there's a 2-day gap between the lead 4 and the others, which worked well. And we'll assess that going forward because I think I'll be keen to get them working as a group from Mauritius. So we may modify the stop over time in Mauritius. We'll wait and see. Okay, that's that for that one. I think we've done everything we need to there. I'll come back here. Easy. Okay. I'll read you the reports, daily reports. We've got 2 days of daily reports here now. What's it done that from? Sometimes, honestly. I just lost the screen to controls. There we go. Rightio, I've got to come back here a bit. We've got 2 days. It won't take long to read them, I don't think. Renault. What the? Oh, jeepers. I'm waiting for it to connect. I'm on a VPN on the computer here, but my phone is usually pretty right. Argo, 23rd of September. Nice days in Cocos. I think I read that. Oh, no, here we go. I think Tuesday, I think that's when I left. So one from Eric. Eric is now underway. He's quite anxious at the thought of heading off. I think we read that before. Enjoyed exploring. Was amazed at the beautiful clear water. Started. It was like swimming in an aquarium. Christian, I don't think I've read this one. This was September the 23rd. We had nice days in Cocos Keeling, but I'm happy to be away. Argo got a few upgrades on furlers and jammers. Just before departure, I dropped something in the water when I was removing the outboard engine, so I had to dive for it in the dark. Guess how many sharks were attracted by my flashlight? I haven't read these yet. Was able to sail out of the bay and altered course to Rodriguez. Crazy sea state out here, and not my preferred wind angle, but we are making good progress. Those sharks there are actually reef sharks, which are really, that's a very good sign. When you see a lot of reef sharks, white tips or black tips, it means you've got a healthy ecosystem, and that's natural. And they usually don't bite, touch wood. They're friendly, very friendly, and a lot of fun if you've never swum with sharks before. When they're grey and big and different, that's when you take note. But yeah, fun for all. Brenda again from Sunbear, Tuesday report. Had a wonderful time in Cocos. Really great to see my stepson, Stephen and Sue. Sunbear is on the way to Cocos. Safe passage, yep, that's it. From Jacob, BB of Cork. 2 days at Indian Ocean and conditions suit me fine. You probably saw his video we put up. But rough and choppy. It feels like driving an old car on a potato field. Crew waves struck me hard. Crew waves, I'm not sure what that is. And 2 sprays came into the companionway, proving my modification to Shield Electric useful. BB keeps steady course, and I have lots of time to read and plenty of sleep. Some tankers on the course from time to time, studying the weather and considering different options. Okay. Yesterday, Ayrton Trekker has left Cocos. 10 to 15 knots of wind, calm anchorage, perfect conditions. Shortly after, wind vane took over the steering. It has been an unforgettable stop. That's fantastic. Christian, they're all commenting on here. I've got some funny numbers here, 7. I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyway. Okay, Jasmine, number 2, which is actually 88. Left Cocos at 2:30 a.m. local time after a little sleep. Steady away, leaving with 1/3 of the main and the jib. The morning came with heavy squalls with a bite that made progress very difficult, as all my wind was taken but thrown back at me in 30 seconds. In other words, when the squall comes through, it sucks the wind out. After the squalls, there's nothing, and then all of a sudden, bang, you get it back. Cleared up in the afternoon. I've only been picking up speed since. Trusty A7 is doing me well. I could put up the A5 as light enough, but the wind, that's a lot, but light enough wind, but that's a lot of effort, and I'm enjoying the speed while switching off. So she's taking it easy, heading more south because that's where the boat wants to go. And another one from Little Wren. Adam reports that all is well on board Little Wren. After 36 hours of wind, over 20 knots, conditions have eased to 15 knots and the sea state has improved. The sail plan has changed from a reefed main and jib to A5, expecting stronger winds in return. So expecting stronger winds to return. And the last one, another one from Ayrton Trekker. Trekker's going forward with reefed main and jib, have not done much else. Plenty of sleep and Netflix. There you go. I started a conversation with a few people about Starlink, and we're allowing it, and we always will for MGR, but I've allowed it for Transat as well, so there's a conversation there. Anyway, all good. We've got some comments or suggestions here. Rathlin, audio and visual, all 100% cool. Yeah, the speed here is actually really good. I'm on a VPN because you're not supposed to do this in China. But anyway, and I use Starlink back in France, of course. This is faster here. But anyway, that's fine. G'day, David. Ariel is a girl's name, not to be confused with an aerial on a PLB. Oh, okay. I've got to explain that. So what happened? One of the entrants, I got a message, and some pictures on what the entrant thought was a PLB, a false alarm. They'd been on for, and I said, "How long's it been on?" A couple of minutes, and they were making processes with their manager to make the call to MRCC. I was just about to board a plane at the time. There's a few planes, blah blah blah. And in the end, the pictures I'm looking at it, I said, "What model's that?" And it was suggested it was a new model, and it was a PLB, PAB, an AIS and a PLB combined. And so we started the processes, and then I'm looking. I'd never seen it. I usually know them all, and I couldn't find the hex code on the unit. And I said, "You sure it's a PLB?" And it wasn't. It's a PAB, and a PAB is a personal AIS beacon. Okay. And a personal AIS beacon is primarily, the advantage is when you fall overboard from a boat, okay, touch wood, hope you never do, and I've got some wood, the AIS unit on the boat will activate, beep, 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 and the crew rush up on deck and they've got the person in the water and they can use the AIS system on board the boat to go back to that person in the water if they've disconnected from the boat and pick them up and bring them back on board. It's a VHF system, everyone knows that. It has a special identification code, and on your AIS screen, it'll come as a line with lots of little dashes towards the AIS beacon in the water. So it looks different from a normal boat's AIS, and everything about it is different. It's an emergency alarm, but it is VHF. So effectively, they're good for about a mile. Now, when I say a mile, if you've got a person sitting in the water and bobbing up and down with the aerial there, you'll get a good strong signal for about a mile. Okay, if you're going to a ship, you might get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles to that ship because their aerial is up really high. And if there's a swell there, the aerial's not below the swell because it's only line of sight, and so on. So, you usually get a good mile or so from the boat that it's fallen off to help you recover the person in the water. And a ship could get it from 10 miles, okay? Now, you all probably know about marine traffic, which picks up AIS beacons by satellite and so on and so forth. And I'm not sure of how that works with the distress signal from a PAB, a personal AIS beacon. Anyway, coming to the end of this, in the end, it was all sorted, and I explained to the entrant that that's not a PLB, right? It's a PAB, because in the end I was really a bit disappointed. So here we go, because that would have been the 9th false alarm that we've had in the last few years from combined PLB, PAB units, because you can buy them. You can get them with, they have one unit and they transmit the PLB signal to a satellite on 406 megahertz, right? Boom, boom, as well as a localized AIS one. And we've banned them in all our events because we've had nothing but problem with them. And there is an absolute distinct case where on some occasions you may not want the PLB to go off and the AIS to go off at the same time. And other situations where you just want to turn the AIS unit on. If you've got a ship about to run over you, right, you can turn your PAB on as like a distress alert for it's a man overboard alert to the ship, and he will definitely pick that up if he's got his AIS on. If there's something wrong with your AIS has failed, all that sort of stuff. But if you do that, if you use it as a tool for collision avoidance, which I would do because you can do anything you want for that, you don't want your PLB going off because then you've got the MRC, Rescue Coordination Centres, thinking there's a full distress. So anyway, once again, it's very important that people know what they've got and how to use it. So the difference between a PLB and a PAB and the ones that are combined. So that was an interesting situation that happened in the last 36 hours or something. Anyway, all good. Okay, so we got that from David. There was a girl's name, not to be confused with PLB. G'day, Isla. Great getting this fantastic over. I'm happy you enjoy it. But the title is wrong, so when I get off of here, we'll change it on YouTube and thing. Not able to track MGR since yesterday. I'm not sure what's going on there. As I say, but I've been off the air, but Jane hasn't mentioned anything about no tracker. And also the managers of the boats, they're obligated to contact us if they find their individual entrance tracker is not working, within 24 hours. So we put the obligation on the entrant manager to monitor their own entrant because they have to do that anyway. every now and then. If they see it's down, they've got to tell us, and no one's reported it down. So it must be a local thing, Vivek, for yourself. David Jacob's 24-hour distance is down because he's sailing away from the run line. Yeah, that's you're right, but it's nominal. It's a little bit, but you're quite right. And Christine, g'day. Still in Darwin. You must like that place. You're usually on the move all the time. Anyway, hope you're having fun. Roberto, finally, I can see you live. Oh, good on you. Nice to see you arrive. How was the travel considering the screenshot you showed us about Hong Kong? Worked out really well. Two parts of that story. The typhoon, after it went through the top of the Philippines, is an absolute ugly thing. Huge winds. As it came across the sea here, it slowly opened up a little bit and got back from being 150 knot forecast to like about 110, 120 knot. But then also it was faster, so it moved across faster. So that meant that Hong Kong airport could open up quicker, and we saw that happening. But we had to overnight in Zurich anyway, because we went from train to Paris and then flight to Zurich, and then they cancelled, blah, blah, blah. And then when it came past here, where we are in this apartment, it was further out to sea and a little bit further to the west. So it then becomes a big joke, it's not a joke because you have to prepare for the worst, obviously. But there's the emotional relief. Jane was saying, "Oh yeah, they're already joking about it." All the preparations they did in Hong Kong and in Zhuhai and around here. It never got that bad. So I was in the taxi after I did the bus over the big bridge. The big bridge opened it up at midnight, as well as the airport. We landed around 2:00 and came across. By the time I got off the big bridge, it was like about 4:00 in the morning here. And very little traffic. Everyone's still winding down, but there's usual trees down, signs down, bits and pieces, but nothing. So it went further down, and I haven't read what's happened down the coast a bit. But by the time it got to the coast, it died off. So it was all cool. So, but anyway, prepare for the worst and all that stuff. Okay, that's it. So if all goes well, yes, I'll be up again tomorrow. I've got an appointment in the morning. That's all, and then we'll be here again. So thanks for that, and we'll see you later. I think I spoke about everything that was on the thinger. Yes, we did. Okay, see you later.